If you have mesothelioma, you know it spreads fast. But there are 6 proven treatments that some mesothelioma patients can use to potentially slow down their cancer. In a 2021 medical study, 8 out of 18 mesothelioma patients had their cancer stop growing for at least 6 months. No spread, no progression. That result came from just one of 6 treatments that I'm going to walk you through today. From standard options to newer therapies, many patients never even hear about. By the end of this video, you are going to know 6 science-backed ways that doctors are slowing mesothelioma down so you can ask better questions at your next appointment. Hi, I'm Deborah from Surviving Mesothelioma. For almost 20 years, we have helped over 18,000 mesothelioma patients understand their treatment options. And we've also published the best-selling book, Surviving Mesothelioma, written by the world's longest living mesothelioma survivor. And I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can get the book for free. All right, let's start with number 1, surgery. There are 2 main surgeries for pleural mesothelioma. One is called a pleurectomy decortication, or PD for short, and it is a 2-step procedure. So step 1 is a pleurectomy, and that is where the surgeon removes the protective lining around the lung. And then step 2 is decortication, and that is where the surgeon goes in and removes all of the tumor that they can see. So that is one type of mesothelioma surgery. Another is called an extrapleural pneumonectomy, or EPP, and this one is more intensive because it involves completely removing one of your lungs. It is not as common as the PD surgery, but doctors may still recommend it when the mesothelioma has spread into the lung. And research shows that these surgeries may help slow down mesothelioma in some patients. A 2024 study in the medical journal Annals of Thoracic Surgery looked at 292 people with pleural mesothelioma. Now, all of them already had chemo, and all of them were candidates for surgery, but only 272 of those patients went through with the surgery. The other 24 patients turned it down, and the outcomes for both groups were noticeably different. The group that got the surgery, they survived a median of 40.7 months, and that is a little over 3 years. But the group who didn't get surgery, well, they only survived a median of 23.6 months, which is just under 2 years. That is more than an extra year for the group that got surgery. And that suggests that surgery may help keep mesothelioma under control for some patients. But you know what? When talking to mesothelioma patients, we've discovered that many of them don't even know that surgery may be an option, right? That is why we interviewed Dr. Jacques Fontaine, and he is one of the world's leading experts on mesothelioma surgery. And we put everything that we learned from him in our mesothelioma surgery guide. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description where you can get your free copy. All right, another way to slow down mesothelioma is number 2, chemotherapy. So chemo uses drugs that are designed to attack cancer cells, stop them from multiplying. So what does the science say about chemo for mesothelioma? A 2023 study in the Journal of Clinical Oncology looked at people with pleural mesothelioma getting chemo for the first time. So 226 of those patients got a type of chemotherapy that combines 2 drugs. One is called cisplatin and another is called pemetrexed. And those patients had a median survival of 12.1 months, so about a year. Now, patients who don't get treatment for mesothelioma, they usually live about 6 months. So this study shows that chemo can double survival time for some patients, which is why chemo is still a common treatment for mesothelioma. But it's not the only one. All right, doctors are also starting to use number 3, immunotherapy. See, chemo attacks the cancer directly, but immunotherapy drugs work differently. Instead of damaging cancer cells, immunotherapy drugs try to boost the immune system to help it target the cancer better. And some studies show it may work even better than chemo for some patients. All right, how much better? Well, a 2022 study in the medical journal Annals of Oncology looked at 605 people with pleural mesothelioma. Half of them were given chemo. The other half were given 2 immunotherapy drugs. All right, one called nivolumab and another called ipilimumab. The patients who got chemo, all right, they survived a median of 14.1 months, but the ones who got immunotherapy, they survived a median of 18.1 months. So patients in the immunotherapy group tended to live a bit longer. But here's what really surprised me. The scientists also looked at something called 3-year progression-free survival. And that is the number of people whose cancer has not grown or gotten worse 3 years after the start of the study. And 1 out of 100 patients who got chemo had their cancer stay about the same for about 3 years. But get this, when they looked at the immunotherapy group, 14 out of 100 of those patients had their cancer stay about the same for 3 years. Okay, that's 14 out of 100 patients whose mesothelioma slowed down completely after getting immunotherapy. So you can probably see why more doctors are recommending immunotherapy for mesothelioma. All right, before moving on to the more experimental options, there is one more standard treatment to talk about, and that's number 4, radiation. Radiation therapy involves sending high energy radiation into the body to kill cancer cells and shrink the tumors. And a 2023 article in the medical journal MedCom looked at 802 pleural mesothelioma patients who did get radiation therapy, and then they compared them to pleural mesothelioma patients who did not get radiation therapy. And they saw that radiation did seem to help. Patients who got radiation survived a median of 12 months, but the ones who did not get radiation, they only survived a median of 8 months. But here's the thing. The scientists also said it doesn't work well for every patient. Studies show that radiation therapy only tends to improve survival for patients with stage 1 or stage 2 cancer, meaning their cancer, it hasn't spread very much yet. Doctors might still recommend radiation for stage 3, stage 4 mesothelioma, but it's usually to relieve pain or manage symptoms, not improve survival. Radiation is also typically used in combination with surgery or maybe with surgery and chemo. And when combined, those treatments may work better for some patients than radiation just alone. So radiation could potentially slow down mesothelioma, but it tends to be used with other treatments and therapies, not on its own. All right, those are the standard treatments. Now, let me tell you about a couple of experimental therapies, starting with number 5. CAR T-cell therapy. Okay, so what are T cells? Let's just start there. T cells are a type of white blood cell that have a specific job. They fight against the unhealthy cells that are in your body, like infected cells or cancer cells. And with CAR T-cell therapy, doctors take some of those T cells from the patient's blood, and then they genetically modify those T cells so they have special receptors on them. And those receptors help the T cell find and attack cancer cells. So think of it like souping up the T cells and giving them heat-seeking missiles designed to lock in on the cancer before putting them back into the patient's body. Right, but does it work? Well, we don't 100% know for sure yet. It's still being studied, but there have been a few small clinical trials that tested them on human patients, like one that was published in 2021 in the medical journal Cancer Discovery. In that study, 18 people with mesothelioma were given CAR T-cell therapy, and then they were given the immunotherapy drug pembrolizumab, and those patients survived a median of 23.9 months, which was just short of 2 years. Okay, but here's what I find really interesting. 8 of those 18 patients achieved a stable disease for at least 6 months. Okay, that means their mesothelioma didn't grow, it didn't spread, it didn't get any worse for at least half a year. So the CAR T-cell therapy seems to have helped almost half the patients in this study slow down their mesothelioma. Okay, but remember, this is still an experimental therapy. It's still being studied, and it has not been approved by the FDA for mesothelioma. Okay, but this next one, it has been approved. And it's number 6, tumor treating fields. Tumor treating fields. That involves carrying around a small device. It's usually in a backpack, and that device connects to the patient's body using electrodes that are stuck to the chest with adhesive pads. And throughout the day, that device sends electrical fields through the body, but it's not like an electric shock, okay? It doesn't hurt. Patients say that they can't even feel it. And those electrical fields are meant to stop the cancer cells from multiplying. So in theory, it may slow down mesothelioma and stop tumors from growing. So a 2019 study in the Lancet Oncology tested tumor treating fields on 80 patients with pleural mesothelioma. And those patients wore the device for at least 18 hours per day, every single day. They also got chemo, and those patients had a median progression-free survival of 7.6 months. So that means their mesothelioma stayed stable. It didn't get worse for about 7 months. Now, that's a median. So that means it was less than 7 months for some patients and more for others, including at least one patient who achieved remission for years. Like I said, tumor treating fields have been approved by the FDA for pleural mesothelioma, but only for patients who are not eligible for surgery and only when used in combination with chemotherapy. Okay, so there you have it. 6 methods that have been proven to slow down mesothelioma for some patients: surgery, chemotherapy, immunotherapy, radiation, CAR T-cell therapy, and tumor treating fields. So what can you do with all of this information? Well, if I had mesothelioma, there are 2 things that I would do right away. First, I would talk to my doctor and I would ask about these options to see if any of them might be a good choice for me. And then second, I would ask for a referral to a mesothelioma specialist. And I would do this even if I had a great oncologist. Why? Because mesothelioma is a very rare form of cancer, and most doctors only see a few cases of it throughout their entire careers. But a mesothelioma specialist, well, they see mesothelioma patients every single week, and they also know about all the latest research. They know about experimental therapies, and they can tell me if I am eligible for surgery or other therapies. And the best part, I can still keep going to my regular doctor for my routine cancer care, even if I'm talking to a specialist and just having them look at my case. If you want help finding a specialist near you, just call the number that you see on the screen. Oh, and one more thing. I would also check out our Mesothelioma Surgery Guide. It is based on our interviews with Dr. Fontaine. He's an award-winning mesothelioma surgeon and one of the world's leading experts in mesothelioma surgery. The book has just lots of great information, like the top 3 things patients could do before surgery to get better results, how family members can help, and exactly what to expect before, during, and after surgery. And it's completely free. Just click the link in the description now, fill out your information, and we will send your free copy. All right, until next time, stay strong, keep fighting, and I'll see you in the next video.